to me. Jokers to the right, here I am stuck in the middle with you. Yes,
What's up, Degenerate Nation? Welcome to Stuck with Collin, episode 8. I'm stuck in with me, as always, is Collin Wilson. He's stuck with me. I'm stuck with him. We're all still stuck inside, so you're stuck with us. What's going on, Collin? Jobs getting in the way of twitching video games?
Yeah, my video game life and my job just kind of clashing with each other today, trying to get some stuff, get the whole Twitch stream going, let everybody kind of dive into my world of StarCraft, Call of Duty, and poker and Fortnite, and my son sniping me. And in the middle of all this, we're going to cut a WrestleMania podcast tonight, myself and Nick Costos. But the problem is everybody's coming down with the coronavirus. So it's like I'm already trying to handicap something that's a script that might have already been recorded. And people that are coming down with like coronavirus, this has got to be the wildest thing I've ever put a handicap on. The podcast ought to be fire tonight.
Yeah, make sure you tune in for that. We're going to talk some college football today in a couple different aspects. This will be a quicker episode, but I did want to talk about our weekends. The challenge, MTV The Challenge, for those of you, we might have something betting around that. It starts this week. I'm looking forward to that. They moved up the Jordan thing, which is cool, but I actually am against it. I wish they saved it because we're going to run out of things to watch. We're going to need things to look forward to. People are going to go even crazier when it comes into May and June, and they're not making new TV shows and movies. I was actually on NBC Sports Radio with Tim Murray after you, the hour after you, and I was talking about the fact that, and I tweeted this earlier, I'm going to make a movie called Quarantine. It's just going to be me going from the couch to the kitchen, then I'm going to look for my remote, and I'm going to go to bed. Because we need more if you have a brilliant idea for like a solo movie, like Castaway, 127 hours, things like that, that's what you got to film right now. But I did watch Homeland's getting really good. If you watch like 3 or 4 seasons and quit, it's worth it to dive back in because we're in a quarantine, right? You got to fill up some time, and this season's been great. Ozark, season 3. Ozark's trending into my top 10 shows. Not finished yet. That and Billions of all time. I mean, good God, that season 3 was as good as it gets. So if you haven't started Ozark, get to that because it's, especially season 3, is spectacular. So that's what I spent my weekend doing. Reading a little bit. Nothing exciting, man. Just trying to stay sane and stay safe. How was your weekend? Did you watch anything new or just been – oh, and one thing I'll add. I played MLB The Show. I got to play you coming up here. I played my first online game. I played a stranger.
Yep.
I won. I'm the Lexington Degenerates. I won 2-3. I only scored 2. They scored 3 because they lost connection in the 9th inning. So I'm undefeated.
Oh, man.
I didn't know that could happen. It just said your opponent lost connection. I thought I did something wrong, and then it said you won. So they must have lost internet connection, and I won by scoring fewer runs. So I'll have to play you coming up. I got to stop swinging at curveballs in the dirt. No, I'm giving you a tip there. But what did you watch? How was your weekend? Anything?
The weekend's okay. I mean, I'm trying to have a good distribution of parsing my time out between video games. I've dusted off the P90X. I'm glad to see everybody doing push-ups at home and getting into this whole push. I'm not going to record myself doing push-ups because it's ugly. My yoga is ugly. My kickboxing is ugly. No one wants to see any of that. But I'm trying to get a good mix of TV watching, video games, walking the dog twice a day, getting some exercise, making sure to check the Fitbit, challenge everybody in the family, make sure we get our 10,000 steps, trying to eat right, and only sending one person out of the house to go and get things that we actually need. And it's just a chore, cleaning off the bags, cleaning off the outside of the food. I mean, just everything is a little bit more complicated these days, and trying to stay mentally positive because you flip on the TV, it's not a real positive thing that's going on out there, and it can get you down to the brain. And then I get into bed and we're talking about new things to watch. I said I wasn't going to watch it. I watched The Tiger King. So I ripped through the whole thing this weekend, and I knew that this guy ran for governor.
So should I watch it? If you ripped through it in 1 weekend, that means you were pretty.
I didn't want to watch it. The problem was I was so caught up on Westworld. I'm so caught up on Saul. I can't run through another episode of The Office. So I ran through it with the family. Well, the family, I should say, just me and the adults, me and the girl. We watched it, and it was I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't want to recommend it. There's some really strong opinions and strong takes out there. I mean, this is the epitome of the trash that's in our country, in my opinion. I am shocked. So I didn't think it could get any lower than this level of humanity. Sometimes I'm not a religious person, and I don't preach Bible on people, but I mean, I can just imagine God sitting back watching the Tiger King saying, boy, this is I might have to go down and do some house cleaning here because it's eye popping. It's really eye popping.
I
But
mean, I still haven't watched it, but I feel like I'm going to end up watching it. I mean, being in quarantine, curiosity is going to get to me. I like everyone's just talking about it. I got to see what the hell this is all about. And you're going to be stuck inside for a couple months. I mean,
you're gonna have to get it in anyways. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got the Tiger King in, and I'm kind of cherishing. I'm trying to find something on each different night to watch something new. And 90 Day Fiance. The problem with 90 Day Fiance is they string this shit out for so long. Like they could spend 2 hours just on somebody taking a flight, like and doing the selfie camera and be like, I'm on my way to meet my Russian bride who I've never met, and we've only been in the chat room, and I've sent her $8,000. Boom, he shows up. There's no chick. There's absolutely no girl whatsoever. Because why? Because you got what's the word? You got catfished. No shit, you got catfished. The whole show is just a farce. It's a joke. It's great.
Spectacular. Yeah, I won't be. There's Pete making his appearance on the show. There's a dog outside barking. I won't be doing any push-ups. I do try to do my Peloton once a day. And a tip out there, if anyone lost their job or lost their income or just wants to save some money, if you call a credit card company and you have credit card debt, make sure, I was talking to a friend who told me this tip. If you just say, I forget the verbiage he told me to say. If you call, basically, if you call and you say you've lost all of your income due to COVID-19 for any period of time, maybe they'll suspend your interest or suspend, payments for a couple months. If you just say that, hey, I've lost some hours or I'm looking to see if you can help. No, you have to say, I've lost my income due to the coronavirus. And apparently they might be able to help you out. Just something worth trying out while you're in quarantine. You might want to do it in the morning or night. I don't know. Calling places like that is crazy. But if you've lost some income, it might be worth to do it.
There's also a thing that Mark Cuban tweeted out. I used to be an independent contractor, and he tweeted out, like, listen, if you're a company of just one, and it doesn't matter if you're having problems with payroll, you're having problems with finances and expenses for your small business, this loan right here is for you. So if you're having questions about that, go. Mark Cuban tweeted it out, but I'm sure you can find this information elsewhere. But there are places to get help, and I would be more proactive than reactive as far as the financial situation, because I think we got a little bit more uphill sledding to go.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk some college football before we get to just the season and whether or not we think they're going to be playing football, et cetera, et cetera. Let's talk about the best team of all time. So there was a college football bracket. Our boy, the East Breeze, if you don't follow him on Twitter, make sure you do. Mike Calabrese, that's his Twitter handle, is at East Breeze. He put out the best of all time bracket, simulated it. And obviously 2001 Miami won it all. Ed Reed with a game sealing pick, which he had many of in the 2001 season. I've always said that 2001 team, which was just loaded with pros. I mean, no matter where you look, you can talk Ed Reed, you could talk DJ Williams, Mike Rump, Antrell Roll on that defense, Sean Taylor. You could talk, anybody, Philip Buchanan. This is just the defense. How about the running backs? You had Frank Gore and Clinton Portis. Dorsey was the quarterback. Andre Johnson was the wide receiver. Najee Davenport was running back. Willis McGahee is a running back. This team was fucking loaded. It's just pros all over. And they got shut out in the 2000. They should have played for the 2000 National Championship. This is when people really jumped off the BCS and people had a big beef with the BCS because Miami beat Florida State in 2000 and they smoked them in 2001. They ended Florida State's 50-game winning streak at home. But in 2000, they beat Florida State, and they each had one loss. Miami was ahead of them in both human polls, but the BCS put Florida State, not Miami, into the BCS championship against Oklahoma, and Florida State scored 2 total points in that game and lost 13-2. Yeah. We would have had a much better game if Miami got in. But that 2001 team, some of the things that Miami did to teams they started off the year, they were up 30-0 at Penn State. It was Paterno's biggest home loss. they just smoked so many ranked teams. And then in the championship against Nebraska, they're basically up 35-0 at the half. Just completely dominant on both sides of the ball. People are like, well, they almost lost to BC before Ed Reed, took it to the house, almost 100-yard touchdown when he ripped the ball out of the D end who picked it off. But Ken Dorsey had 4 picks in that game. There was like 30-mile-an-hour swirling winds, just a weird game on the road in conference. They got it done. Look at their results that year. I will take that team versus any team. Some people are going to say Penn State. Some people are going to say the Nebraska. I don't know who you're going to say, but I'll take that team over any. Dollar for dollar, I'll take them. You give me, I'll lay 2.5 over any team in the history of college football with that Miami team.
I listen, people don't realize, or maybe you do, if you can remember, Clinton Portis and Frank Gore were different beasts before they were injured. They were levels of, I don't think they ever flashed in the NFL what they were when they were playing for the Miami Hurricanes. So, I mean, that's definitely something to go back and watch. But I had a whole
McGahee in the babackfield. That's ridiculous.
Or McGahee, yeah. And I had a real problem with – I thought Nebraska should have won this game. And I know it was simulated on a video game. But, and I watched the simulation, and Nebraska maybe once out of every 8 snaps lined up in the triple option, lined up in the wishbone, and had Amon Green and Lawrence Phillips and Tommy Frazier back there in the backfield. And the problem that I had with the entire matchup, and I wrote about it over at Action, I took the over. I said the over is going on here because both these teams are going to score some points. And then Miami's, special teams, Buchanan specifically on special teams had a couple touchdowns. And then, defensively, they were known for returning. Ed Reed had, I think, what they have, 9? I want to say they had 9 pick sixes on the year, but they had 45 total turnovers. I mean, they put up some of the most unbelievable stats. So the over was the play, and the over is what happened in the video game. But I really disagreed with in a head-to-head matchup. I thought 95 Nebraska would have beaten them. And the reason is because I went through all of the game logs of Miami 2001, and it turns out they can be pushed on the defensive line. Specifically, I'm staring at the Virginia Tech box score, and I know Virginia Tech only lost by 2. Miami had control of that game, even though they only won by 2 points. But Kevin Jones had 24 attempts for 160 yards. He averaged 6.7 yards per carry against Miami's front seven. If Kevin Jones and Virginia Tech can run for 6.7 yards per carry, and even his backup averaged 5.7 yards per carry in that specific game. So if that's what kind of yardage they were giving up on the ground, I think Nebraska would have been able to run all day, control the pit, control the trench all day, and control the clock. I don't think it would have been a blowout. I think the game was lined correctly at a pick, but I mean, we'll never see it. We'll never know. But Miami's downfall was actually going to be the front seven defending the rush, and that's what Nebraska did best.
I don't know. I mean, you still have Vince Wilfork, William Joseph, McDougal. I mean, their D-line was still formidable. That Nebraska team, I think, is the second best of all time. But I would make Miami about 2.5-point favorite. I wish we could watch it in real life. We never will.
Oh, yeah.
But I think those are the 2 best teams. So I was glad to see that they did get to the final. So debate it amongst your friends.
And Grant,
there's no wrong answer because
there's no wrong. Yeah. And Grant Wistrom in the state of Nebraska will never have to pay for a meal, never have to pay for a drink. Christian Jason Peter never have to pay for a meal, pay for a drink. That was an all-time team for Nebraska in '95.
That Miami secondary. Sean Taylor was on that team too, with Ed Reed, Antrell Roll, Rump. I mean, Buchanan. I mean, ridiculous. All right, other college football news before we get out of here. I said we wanted to keep this a shorter episode. And do we obviously the NFL starting on time is a lot easier to do than college football, right? There's just a lot fewer teams. There's a lot more money. It's easier to coordinate. So where do you think it stands right now? Are we going to start on time in college football? Are we not? Is it going to be shortened? And what is you had a piece out. You want to talk about your piece? Just what are your updated thoughts on the season? And the question that everyone is asking, please, can we at least have football start on time?
So the state of Virginia, I think everybody should realize that Brian Kelly was on with SVP, and he said July 1st is the cutoff date. Because you're going to have your strength and conditioning coaches need 6 weeks. You're going to need schematically, you're going to need this number of weeks. You've got to start on July 1st if you're going to start the season on time, keeping in mind that they play August 29th or 30th against Navy over in Dublin. So, he said we need at least minimum of 6 weeks to get ready. State of Virginia is on lockdown until what, June 10th? I think they're the one state that has said, this next month isn't going to be enough. We're going to go at least until June 10th. And so I think we have no more. If the curve does not start flattening in the next 2 weeks, I think that we are going to miss college football. So the piece that I wrote was, what do we do if we could start?
You're saying the whole season?
I'm saying Brian Kelly said they need 6 weeks to prepare. So if we have a lockdown, if we're still shelter in place and that's going to roll through July, the first 2 weeks of July, I think we're going to have a truncated season. So the piece that I wrote on Action Network is, if we have a truncated season, are they going to push everything back? Do they kill non-conference play? Is it just going to be conference play? And what do we do? Because the Pac-12 plays 9 and the SEC plays 8. What do we do with Notre Dame? If we truncate season, say it's just conference play, what the hell do we do with Notre Dame, who's playing Wisconsin, Clemson? It's a really tough solution if we start cutting into time. And I don't think you could just cancel the season. And then we've got the whole second round of the coronavirus going to come during the fall. I think July 1st, I think Brian Kelly was spot on with that number right there. And if Virginia closing down to like June 10th, we're right there. Any more delays, the curve doesn't flatten, I think we're going to start truncating games. So the article was really about who benefits most if we take off non-conference play. Easy answer was Oregon. They started off with North Dakota State, who just won the FC. It was a rebuilding year for North Dakota State, and they won the FCS championship and returned everything on offense, and they missed a couple things on the defensive line. Oregon would dodge that game, and then the next week they're already supposed to be 7-point dogs to Ohio State coming into Eugene. So Oregon has the defense. Oregon has such a good defense coming up this year. It could compete in the SEC. That's how good it is. Now their offense, 30% returning production, no Justin Herbert, missing a lot of pieces. That's going to be a problem. But it's much easier to open up the season against Colorado in conference play than it is to take on North Dakota State and Ohio State. So Oregon was the part in the piece where I was like, if they cut out non-conference play, Oregon's a national title contender, and 60-1 should be off the board.
Sorry, I was on mute. If they shorten the season and remove non-conference play, all futures action will still be valid? I mean, we've never had anything like this.
I mean, it's depended by the book, right? Some might let it run.
But have you heard anything about? Has anyone come out and said anything?
I haven't heard anything, but I'm tempted just to get an Oregon number just in case they do cut it off, because in that case, do they let the tickets fly?
Yeah. Well, let's try we'll try to find out, and I'll update.
I mean, let's put Jersey's got 60-1s out there on Oregon. Vegas is, I think maybe Westgate's wised up to this. I think they're 30-1. I think there's a 25-1 at Circa. So I think the thought is out there, and whether the book treats it as a refund and they have to set a brand new market, I don't know. We'll see.
All right, it'll be interesting. We'll try to update you guys on college football and all things football while we're doing the show before we start doing podcasts, once we know whether or not all of this in limbo is full speed ahead or not. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Wanted to do a shorter episode today. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll do another episode tomorrow on a few topics. We still have to finish our bracket, and our bad beats bracket, and a lot of other topics we want to go through. But we'll keep this one shorter. Stay safe, stay sane out there, and we'll catch y'all later. Cheers.
Peace out.